My cheating fiancé was having an affair with my mother, and it turns out that he is the father of my baby brother. My fiancé Jake and I got engaged last spring after dating for 2 years. Everything seemed absolutely perfect between us. We were planning our wedding for next summer, looking at venues downtown, picking out flowers, tasting cakes, all the exciting stuff you dream about. My mom had my baby brother Tommy about 8 months ago, which came as a huge surprise to everyone since she's 45 and had been completely single for years after my dad died when I was in high school. She never told anyone who the father was, just said it was a brief relationship that didn't work out and she wanted to raise Tommy alone. Jake was incredibly supportive during Mom's entire pregnancy. He'd drive her to doctor appointments when I was stuck at work, helped set up the nursery in her spare bedroom, even spent a whole weekend assembling the crib and changing table. I thought it was amazingly sweet how much he cared about my family and wanted to be involved. Mom seemed to really appreciate having a man around to help with heavy lifting and practical stuff around the house. She'd always struggled with home repairs and yard work since Dad passed away. Jake would come over on Saturdays to mow her lawn and fix broken things without me even asking him to. But over the past few months, I started noticing weird little interactions between them that felt off somehow. Jake would text constantly during our dates, claiming it was urgent work stuff from his construction company. When we visited Mom's house for dinner, he and Mom would have these quiet, intense conversations in the kitchen that would stop abruptly the moment I walked in. Jake started suggesting we spend way more time at Mom's place instead of my apartment. He said he wanted to help with Tommy since babies needed strong male role models, which seemed thoughtful and caring, but Jake had never shown any interest in children before we got engaged. He used to say babies made him nervous, and he didn't know how to act around them. The strange behavior intensified dramatically after Tommy was actually born. Jake would hold him for hours at a time, making this expression I'd never seen on his face before. Almost protective, like territorial or possessive. Mom would watch them together with this look I couldn't quite identify, pride mixed with something else, something that made my stomach twist uncomfortably. Jake started working late way more often than usual, but when I called his office, his assistant would say he'd left hours earlier than he claimed. When I asked where he'd been during those missing hours, he'd get defensive and snap that I was being clingy and controlling. We started having fights about trust and communication, which had never been an issue in our relationship before. 3 weeks ago, I noticed Jake had saved Mom's number in his phone under a completely different name. Not Mom or Linda like you'd expect, but as Star with multiple heart emojis. When I asked him about the weird contact name, he laughed it off nervously and said it was just an inside joke from when he helped her during the pregnancy. But his face went bright red and he wouldn't meet my eyes when he explained. Last Tuesday, I came home early from my job at the bank with a splitting migraine and decided to pick up some of my clothes I'd left at Mom's house over the weekend. I used my key and walked in quietly, not wanting to wake Tommy if he was napping in his crib upstairs. I heard voices coming from Mom's bedroom, hushed but intense conversation that carried down the hallway. I recognized Jake's voice immediately, even though his truck wasn't parked in the driveway. He must have parked around the corner or down the street where I wouldn't see it. I crept up the stairs slowly, my heart pounding against my ribs, trying to catch what they were saying to each other. That's when I heard Jake say something that made my blood freeze in my veins. He called Mom by a pet nickname he'd only ever used for me, Babe. Then I heard Mom respond with something that finally explained everything I'd been noticing and questioning for months. I stood outside that bedroom door and finally understood exactly why Jake looked at Tommy the way he did. Why Mom had been so secretive about Tommy's father, and why they'd both been acting so strange around each other. I pushed open the bedroom door, and that's when I discovered the truth about what they'd been hiding from me. I push open the bedroom door and the world stops spinning. My mother, naked from the waist down, is straddling Jake on her bed. The sheets are tangled around them, and my engagement ring catches the afternoon light as Jake's hands grip my mother's hips, their heads whip toward me in perfect synchronization, mouths forming identical O's of shock. Melissa, Mom gasps, scrambling off Jake, yanking the sheet up to cover herself. Her face is flushed, hair disheveled in a way I've never seen before. Jake is frozen, his eyes wide with panic. Babe, I can explain. Don't call me that, I whisper, my voice barely audible even to myself. The room seems to tilt sideways. Don't you ever call me that again. Mom is crying now, big heaving sobs as she clutches the sheet to her chest. Sweetheart, please. How long? The question burns my throat like acid. How long has this been going on? Jake and Mom exchange a look that tells me everything. This isn't new. This isn't a one-time mistake. Since before Tommy, Jake finally admits, his voice cracking. He reaches for his boxers on the floor. I've been trying to find a way to tell you. The room spins faster. Before Tommy? You're saying. He's mine, Jake whispers, and the floor drops out from under me. Tommy is my son. The truth crashes over me like a wave. Jake's sudden interest in babies, the secretive conversations, the way he looked at Tommy, the missing hours, all of it slides into horrifying focus. It started during my pregnancy counseling, Mom says, tears streaming down her face. Jake was driving me to appointments, and we just connected. I was so lonely after your father died. And Jake was so kind, so attentive. Stop. I hold up my hand, bile rising in my throat. My fiancé, my mother, my baby brother, is actually I can't even say the words. I love you both, Jake says, standing now, reaching for me. I know that sounds impossible, but I do. I love you differently, but I run. Down the stairs, through the hallway, out the front door. My stomach heaves, and I vomit into the azaleas Mom planted last spring. Jake's footsteps pound behind me. Please let me explain. He grabs my arm, spinning me around. You can't tell anyone. Think about Tommy. Think about what this would do to everyone. I wrench my arm free, twisting my engagement ring off my finger. You're worried about your reputation while you've been fucking my mother? Keep your voice down. Jake hisses, looking frantically at the neighbors' houses. This isn't just about me. Think about your mom. Think about Tommy growing up with this hanging over him. I hurl the ring at his chest. It bounces off and disappears into the grass. You both betrayed me in the worst possible way. My fiancé and my mother, the two people I trusted most in the world. I never meant to hurt you, Jake says, his voice breaking. I swear to God, I never wanted this to happen. But it did happen, and you let me plan our wedding while you were sleeping with my mother and raising your secret child. The words taste like poison. You let me believe Tommy was just my brother, not your son. Mom appears in the doorway, hastily dressed, her face streaked with mascara. Melissa, please, we need to talk about this as a family. Family? I laugh, the sound ugly and raw. We're not a family. We're a sick joke. I stumble to my car, hands shaking so badly I can barely get the key in the ignition. Jake runs after me, pleading, but I reverse out of the driveway so fast I nearly hit the mailbox. In my rearview mirror, I see Mom collapse onto the porch steps, Jake standing helplessly between us. I drive aimlessly, sobbing so hard I can barely see the road. My phone rings constantly. Mom, Jake, Mom again. I finally pull over in a shopping center parking lot and listen to the voicemails. Baby, please come back. Mom's voice is desperate. Let me explain everything. It's not what you think. Jake's message is worse. I know you hate me right now, but I love you. I love Tommy. I love your mom. We can figure this out together. I turn off my phone and check into the first hotel I find. A mid-range chain with a vacant-eyed desk clerk who doesn't react to my tear-stained face. In the room, I collapse onto the bed, my body shaking with sobs that feel ripped from the center of my chest. Hours pass. Maybe I sleep, maybe I don't. The room grows dark, then light again. Around noon, there's a knock at the door. Housekeeping, a voice calls. Not now, I croak. Another knock, more insistent. Melissa, it's Tara. Open the door. I drag myself up and peer through the peephole. My best friend stands there, concern etched across her face. I open the door, and she takes one look at me before pulling me into a fierce hug. How did you find me? I mumble against her shoulder. Location sharing on our phones, Tara says, kicking the door closed behind her. You never turned it off. I've been calling you all night. She pulls back, examining my face. What happened? Your mom called me frantic, saying you had a huge fight. Jake's been texting everyone we know. I sink onto the bed, the weight of everything crushing me again. Tommy isn't my brother, I whisper. Well, he is, but he's also Jake's son. Tara's eyes widen. What? Jake and my mom? They've been having an affair. Since before Tommy was conceived, I walked in on them yesterday. Tara sits beside me, her hand finding mine. Oh my God. My fiancé is my baby brother's father, I say, the words still impossible to comprehend. And they both want me to forgive them, like this is just some small mistake. Tara shakes her head, speechless for once in her life. I don't know what to do. I admit, fresh tears spilling. I don't know how to even begin to process this. You don't have to figure it out right now, Tara says firmly. Right now, you just need to breathe. She orders room service, makes me shower, and sits with me while I cry until there are no tears left. The betrayal feels like a physical wound, something torn open inside me that will never properly heal. Do you want me to get your stuff from Jake's place? Tara asks eventually. You can stay with me as long as you need. I nod, thinking of all my belongings mixed with his. The life we were building together, now revealed as nothing but an elaborate lie. He's Tommy's father, I whisper, the reality still sinking in. All those times he was helping Mom, driving her to appointments, building the nursery, they were together. They were planning their child's room while I was planning our wedding. Tara squeezes my hand. I'm so sorry. My phone, which Tara convinced me to turn back on, lights up with another call from Mom. I stare at her name on the screen, remembering how she looked in Jake's arms, and I feel sick all over again. I hit decline, knowing I'm not ready to hear whatever explanation she thinks could possibly make this right. Tara helps me back to my apartment the next morning. I stand in the doorway, staring at the space Jake and I shared for the past year. His presence is everywhere, his running shoes by the door, his favorite coffee mug in the sink, The framed photo of us hiking in Colorado on the bookshelf. My eyes land on his sweatshirt draped over the couch, and I feel physically ill. I can't be here, I whisper. Tara squeezes my shoulder. Let's pack some of your stuff, and you can stay with me. I'm shoving clothes into a duffel bag when there's a knock at the door. Tara peers through the peephole and turns to me with wide eyes. It's your mom. My heart pounds against my ribs. Tell her to go away, but Mom's voice carries through the door. Melissa, please. I know you're in there. We need to talk. I'm not ready. Sweetheart, please. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Tara looks at me questioningly. I nod, resigned. When Tara opens the door, Mom rushes in, her eyes puffy and red. She's wearing the same clothes from yesterday, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She looks like she hasn't slept. Melissa, she says, reaching for me. I step back. Don't touch me. Mom drops her hands, her face crumpling. I know what we did is unforgivable. Then why are you here? I snap. To explain how fucking my fiancé somehow makes sense? Language, Mom says automatically, then winces at her own absurdity. Are you serious right now? You're worried about my language after what you did? Mom sinks onto the couch, right next to Jake's sweatshirt. I never meant for any of this to happen. Jake was helping me through a difficult time. Oh my God, I cut her off. Please don't tell me you're going with the "it just happened" excuse. You had an affair with my fiancé, Mom. You had his baby and let me believe Tommy was just my brother. He is your brother, she insists. Nothing changes that. I laugh bitterly. Everything changes that. Jake is Tommy's father, the man I was going to marry, the man who was helping you set up the nursery while I was picking out wedding venues. Mom's crying now, mascara streaking down her face. I know it sounds impossible, but Jake truly cares for both of us. Stop it, I shout, making her flinch. Just stop. I storm into our bedroom, needing space, when I notice Jake's gym bag partially unzipped on the floor. Something compels me to look inside. Beneath his workout clothes is a second phone one I've never seen before. My fingers shake as I turn it on. No passcode. The screen lights up to reveal hundreds of text messages between Jake and a contact saved as L, my mother. I scroll through them, each message more devastating than the last. Miss you, baby. Can't wait to feel you again. Tommy kicked so much today. Your son is strong like his daddy. She's working late. Come over. The timestamps go back over a year, well before Mom's pregnancy. I stumble back to the living room, the phone clutched in my hand. You lied, I say, my voice deadly quiet. This started before you were pregnant, before your counseling sessions. Mom's face drains of color when she sees the phone. And all those renovations at your house? Jake's company did those for free, didn't they? The new kitchen, the deck, the bathroom remodel? That wasn't just him being nice to his future mother-in-law. He wanted to help, Mom says weakly. Help? I throw the phone at the wall. It doesn't break, just falls with a thud. He was buying your silence. He paid for Tommy's nursery, didn't he? The medical bills? Mom doesn't deny it, which is confirmation enough. You both used me, I whisper. I was just a cover story for your sick relationship. That's not true, Mom pleads. Jake loves you. He just... Don't you dare tell me how Jake feels about me, I seethe. You have no idea what love is. The door bursts open, and Jake stumbles in, clearly drunk despite it being barely noon. His eyes are bloodshot, tie askew. There you are, he slurs, looking between Mom and me. Been looking everywhere. Get out, I say. Jake ignores me, swaying slightly. Linda, you shouldn't be here. We agreed to give her space. Linda, I repeat, not babe anymore? Jake flinches. Melissa, please. We need to figure this out. Tommy needs all of us. Tommy needs his father and mother, I say coldly. And apparently that's you two, not me. Don't say that, Mom cries. You're his sister. He needs you. Jake steps closer, his expression hardening. You need to understand something. Tommy is my son. If you tell anyone about this, I'll file for custody. I have rights. The threat hangs in the air like poison gas. Tara, who's been silently witnessing this nightmare, finally speaks up. Are you seriously threatening her right now? After what you did? Something in me snaps. I grab Jake's gym bag and start shoving his belongings into it, his phone, his clothes, his toiletries from the bathroom. What are you doing? He demands. Getting you out of my life, I say through gritted teeth. I gather armfuls of his stuff, marching past them to the door. Melissa, stop! Mom calls after me. I ignore her, taking the stairs 2 at a time down to the parking lot. I throw Jake's things into the back of his truck, then return for more. Jake and Mom follow me, pleading, as I make trip after trip. You can't just throw my stuff out, Jake yells, drawing the attention of my neighbors, who watch from their windows and balconies. Watch me, I snap, dumping his precious golf clubs onto the pavement. Mom grabs my arm. Honey, please, think about Tommy. He's innocent in all this. I wrench away from her. Don't use him as a shield. You both betrayed me in the worst possible way. Jake, drunk and desperate, makes a final plea. You can't just abandon your brother. He's still your brother. And whose fault is it that he's also your son? I scream, loud enough for everyone to hear. You slept with my mother. You got her pregnant while we were engaged. The shocked gasps from the neighbors are audible. Mrs. Patel from 3B covers her mouth. The college guys from the ground floor apartment stop unloading groceries to stare. Mom collapses onto the curb, sobbing. Jake stands frozen, the public exposure of their secret rendering him speechless. Tommy is still your brother, Mom whispers through her tears. Please don't punish him for what we did. I look at her, this woman who raised me, who I thought would never hurt me, and feel nothing but hollow devastation. I love Tommy, I say quietly, but I don't know how to be in his life without seeing the two of you. And right now, I can't even look at either of you. I turn and walk back to my apartment building, leaving them exposed under the judgmental eyes of my neighbors. Tara follows, her arm around my shoulders. What am I supposed to do now? I ask her, my voice small. One day at a time, she says, just one day at a time. I sit across from the lawyer, a stern woman with reading glasses perched at the end of her nose, as she shuffles through the documents I've brought her. The ticking of the wall clock feels deafening in the silence. So, she finally says, looking up at me, based on what you've told me and these text messages, Jake is indeed Tommy's biological father. Can he really claim custody? My voice sounds hollow, even to my own ears. She removes her glasses, rubbing the bridge of her nose. If he establishes paternity through testing, which these messages suggest he could easily do, then yes, biological fathers have rights in this state. Even when, well, even in unusual circumstances like yours. Unusual. Such a polite word for the nightmare my life has become. What about the fact that he's been involved with my mother? Doesn't that count against him somehow? Morally? Perhaps. Legally? No. Courts focus on what's best for the child, not punishing adults for their choices, however questionable. I leave her office feeling even more defeated than when I arrived. Outside, rain drizzles down, matching my mood perfectly. My phone buzzes with a text from Jake. We need to talk. Please. Coffee shop on Main, 2 p.m.? I should ignore him. I should block his number and never speak to him again. Instead, I text back, fine. The coffee shop is neutral territory, public enough that neither of us can cause a scene. Jake's already there when I arrive, sitting at a corner table with 2 cups. He looks terrible unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, hair unwashed. I ordered your usual, he says, pushing a vanilla latte toward me. I don't want anything from you, but I sit down anyway, leaving the drink untouched. I spoke with a lawyer, I tell him, cutting straight to the point. She says you have rights to Tommy. Jake nods slowly. I know. I've consulted one too. He leans forward, his voice dropping. But I don't want to do that, Melissa. I don't want to fight you. Really? Because threatening to claim custody seemed pretty fight-like to me. He winces. I was drunk. I was desperate. I didn't mean it. Like you didn't mean to sleep with my mother? Like you didn't mean to father my brother while we were planning our wedding? Jake's eyes fill with tears. I know you won't believe this, but I do love you. I always have. Don't, I warn, my voice shaking. Don't you dare. It's true, he insists. What I feel for your mom is different. It's not. If you say it's not the same, I will throw that coffee in your face. I hiss. You don't get to rank the people you betrayed. He falls silent, staring down at his hands. What do you want from me, Melissa? I want you to disappear. I want to wake up and discover this was all just a nightmare. But since that's not possible, I want you to stay away from me. And Tommy? He asks quietly. The question stabs me in the chest. Tommy, my innocent little brother, caught in the middle of this disaster. I don't know, I admit. My phone buzzes with a text from Mom. Please call me. We need to talk as a family. I show Jake the message. She keeps saying that. As a family, like the 3 of us are going to sit down and work this out over dinner. Your mom is trying, Jake says. She never meant to hurt you. I laugh bitterly. That's what everyone who does terrible things says. I never meant to hurt you, as if intention somehow erases the damage. We could try family therapy, Jake suggests. All 3 of us, with a professional mediator. I stare at him incredulous. You think therapy is going to fix this? But somehow, 3 days later, I find myself sitting in a therapist's office with Jake and Mom, the tension so thick it's hard to breathe. The therapist, Dr. Winters, has kind eyes and a gentle voice, but even she seems overwhelmed by our situation. Let's start by acknowledging that this is an extremely complicated dynamic, she begins. Mom immediately starts crying. I just want my daughter back. I want us to be a family again. A family? I snap. You slept with my fiancé. You had his baby and lied to me about it for months. I never lied about Tommy being your brother, Mom insists, dabbing at her eyes. Half-brother, I correct coldly. And my ex-fiancé's son. A fact you conveniently forgot to mention. Jake clears his throat. I take full responsibility. I pursued Linda when she was vulnerable after your father died. Oh, don't act noble now, I spit. You were with me when you started sleeping with her. You proposed to me while you were having an affair with my mother. Dr. Winters tries to intervene. Perhaps we could. And you? I turn to Mom, unable to contain the flood of anger. How could you? After everything we've been through together? After Dad died and it was just us? How could you betray me like this? I was lonely, Mom cries out. I was so lonely after your father died. And Jake was there. And he was kind and attentive. And already in a relationship with your daughter, I shout, standing up. You know what? This is pointless. You two deserve each other. I storm out, ignoring Dr. Winters calling after me. In the parking lot, I collapse against my car, sobbing. My phone rings. It's a number I don't recognize. Hello? I answer, my voice thick with tears. Is this Melissa? A woman's voice, hesitant and unfamiliar. Yes. Who's this? My name is Helen. I'm Jake's mother. My heart stops. How did you get my number? From the wedding invitation list, she says softly. Melissa, my husband and I just found out what Jake has done. We're horrified. We wanted you to know that. I don't know what to say. I'd only met Jake's parents twice. They lived in another state and weren't close with him. We had no idea, Helen continues, her voice breaking. About Tommy, about your mother, none of it. We raised him better than this. Thank you for calling, I managed to say. If you need anything at all, please let us know. And Melissa, we're so sorry. I hang up, oddly touched by their gesture. At least someone in this mess has a moral compass. 2 weeks later, Tara calls me in a panic. Your mom is moving in with Jake. They're taking Tommy with them. What? I gripped the phone tighter. I drove by your mom's place to check on things, and there was a moving truck. Jake was loading boxes. Your mom said they're consolidating households for Tommy's sake. The news shouldn't hurt. I've barely spoken to either of them since the therapy disaster, but it does. It makes everything so official. They're a family now, without me. I throw myself into work, staying late at the bank, volunteering for weekend shifts, anything to keep busy, to avoid thinking about my mother and Jake playing house with my baby brother. Then Jake starts showing up at my workplace. The first time, I think it's coincidence he's at the coffee shop across from the bank when I go for lunch. The second time, he's waiting in the parking lot when I leave work. By the third time, when he follows me into the grocery store, I know it's deliberate. You need to stop, I tell him, abandoning my cart in the cereal aisle. This is stalking, Jake. I just want to talk, he pleads, following me out to my car. Linda misses you. Tommy misses you. Tommy is 8 months old. He doesn't even know who I am anymore. That's not true. He lights up when we show him your picture. The thought of them showing Tommy my photo makes me physically ill. Stay away from me, I warn, getting into my car. But he doesn't. The next day, he's outside my apartment building. The day after, he sends flowers to my desk at work with a note. Tommy's first birthday is next month. Please come. I file for a restraining order the following morning. When the court date arrives, Jake doesn't contest it. He sits there, shoulders slumped, as the judge grants my request. Mom isn't in the courtroom, but I can feel her absence like a physical pain. 3 weeks later, an invitation arrives in the mail. Tommy's first birthday party. There's a handwritten note from Mom. Please come, he's still your brother. We miss you so much. I throw it in the trash, but fish it out hours later, smoothing the crumpled paper. Tommy's face smiles up at me from the invitation photo, his chubby cheeks and bright eyes so innocent, so unaware of the chaos surrounding his existence. The day of Tommy's birthday, I drive to the address on the invitation, but can't bring myself to go inside. I sit in my car across the street, watching guests arrive with colorful packages and balloons. Mom stands at the door, greeting everyone with a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Jake hovers behind her, Tommy on his hip. My phone rings. It's a woman named Rebecca. Is this Melissa Coleman? Yes. Who's this? I was engaged to Jake Daniels 3 years ago. My blood runs cold. What? I found your number through mutual friends. I heard what happened with you and your mother, and I thought you should know you're not the only one. Jake has a pattern. I listen in stunned silence as Rebecca tells me how Jake cheated on her with her cousin, how he manipulated both of them, playing the victim when caught. He has a type, Rebecca says. Women he can control. Women with family connections he can exploit. I just wanted you to know you didn't do anything wrong. This is who he is. I thank her, hanging up in a daze. Across the street, I see Mom searching the arriving guests, probably looking for me. Tommy reaches his little hands toward a balloon, and Jake bounces him gently, making him giggle. I start my car and drive away. Rebecca's number saved in my contacts. Maybe I'll call Jake's previous fiancé back. Maybe we both have more stories to share. 1 year has passed since my world shattered. The calendar doesn't lie, but it feels both longer and shorter somehow. Doctor? Reynolds says that's normal with trauma. Time becomes elastic, stretching and compressing in ways that don't make logical sense. How are you feeling about Tommy's birthday next week? She asks, her pen poised over her notepad. I shift in the leather chair that's become familiar over our weekly sessions. Mixed. I want to see him, but seeing him means seeing Linda and possibly Jake. She finishes for me. Exactly. I twist the tissue in my hands into a tight spiral. Tommy's turning 2. He won't even remember if I'm there or not. But you'll remember, Dr. Reynolds says gently. And that matters too. After our session, I sit in my car, scrolling through the photos on my phone. Tommy at 18 months, chubby-cheeked and laughing in the park. Me holding him while he sleeps. These supervised visits have become the highlight of my month. Carefully orchestrated so I rarely have to interact with Mom directly, and never with Jake. My phone rings. It's Tara. "You're not going to believe this," she says without preamble. "Jake's cheating on your mom." Something between a laugh and a sob escapes me. "Are you serious? Rebecca, his ex-fiancé before you? She's friends with this woman Melissa, who works at the bank downtown. Apparently, Jake's been hitting on her for weeks. Your mom found texts on his phone last night and completely lost it. Police were called to their house. The news should make me feel vindicated. Instead, I just feel hollow. Is Tommy okay? He's with your mom at her place. Jake moved out this morning." I hang up and stare at my steering wheel, trying to process this new development. The karmic justice feels empty, meaningless. All I can think about is Tommy, caught in the middle of yet another adult mess. 3 days later, Mom calls. I let it go to voicemail, as I have for months now. "Melissa," her voice sounds broken, tired. "I know I'm the last person you want to talk to, but please, I need to see you. Not for me, but for Tommy. Jake's gone, and I've made so many terrible mistakes. Please call me back." I delete the message but can't delete the sound of her voice from my mind. A week passes. More voicemails, more texts. Finally, I agree to meet her at a coffee shop neutral territory, public enough that neither of us can cause a scene. Mom looks older, thinner. The confident woman who raised me seems diminished somehow, shoulders curved inward like she's protecting herself from a blow. "Thank you for coming," she says, hands wrapped around her mug like she's trying to absorb its warmth. "I'm here for Tommy," I say flatly. "That's it." She nods. "I understand. I don't deserve your forgiveness." "No, you don't. Jake and I," she starts, then stops. "It imploded. He was seeing someone else. Has been for months." "Shocking," I say, the sarcasm bitter on my tongue. "I made the worst mistake of my life," Mom says, her eyes filling with tears. "I betrayed my own daughter. I let my loneliness and selfishness destroy our family." "Yes, you did." "I'm in therapy now," she continues. "Individual sessions. I'm trying to understand how I could have done something so terrible to you." I take a sip of my coffee, letting the silence stretch between us. "What do you want from me, Mom?" "Nothing you don't want to give," she says quietly. "But Tommy asks about you. He misses his sister." The words hit me harder than I expected. He's 2. He barely knows me. He knows your picture. He calls you sissy now. Something in my chest cracks open at that. I blink back unexpected tears. "I've filed for full custody," Mom continues. "Jake's agreed to supervised visitation only. He's not contesting it." "Where is he?" "Moving to Colorado. His business here collapsed after everything came out. Too many clients knew what happened." I feel a grim satisfaction at that, though it doesn't heal anything. "Would you consider," Mom says hesitantly, "maybe seeing Tommy more regularly? Not with me present if you don't want. My friend Carol could bring him to the park or wherever you're comfortable." I think about Tommy growing up without me, about missing his childhood milestones. Whatever Jake and Mom did, Tommy is innocent. "I'll think about it," I say finally. 2 weeks later, I file court papers requesting formal visitation rights as Tommy's sister. My lawyer says it's unusual but not unprecedented, especially given the circumstances. The judge, a stern woman with kind eyes, grants my request after reviewing the case. "The child's welfare comes first," she says. "Having a stable, loving sister in his life is clearly beneficial." Mom doesn't contest it. In fact, she supports my petition, telling the court that maintaining our sibling relationship is essential for Tommy's well-being. The first time I pick Tommy up from Mom's house under the new arrangement, he toddles to me with arms outstretched, shouting, "Sissy! Sissy!" His face lights up with recognition and joy, and something inside me heals just a fraction. "Hi, buddy," I whisper, scooping him up. "I've missed you." Mom stands in the doorway, not approaching, respecting the boundaries I've set. "His favorite book is in the bag," she says, "and snacks. He likes apple slices now." I nod, unable to look at her directly. "I'll have him back by 4. At the park, Tommy points at ducks and squeals with delight when I push him on the swing. For a few hours, everything feels almost normal, just a big sister spending time with her little brother. When I return him to Mom's house, she invites me in for tea. I decline, but something in her expression makes me pause. "I started family therapy," she says. "Just me and a therapist for now, but if you ever wanted to join, even just once." "I'm not ready for that." "I understand. The door is open, whenever, or if ever, you're ready." 3 months pass. Tommy and I settle into a routine park visits, trips to the Children's Museum, story time at the library. I learn his favorite foods, the songs that make him giggle, the stuffed dinosaur he can't sleep without. Mom keeps her distance, never pushing. Always grateful for whatever small interaction I offer. She sends me updates about Tommy's development but never mentions Jake or their relationship. One evening, after dropping Tommy off, I hesitate at the door. "How's your therapy going?" I ask, the first personal question I've initiated in over a year. Mom looks surprised. "It's hard, but good. I'm learning a lot about myself, about the terrible choices I made." I nod, not ready to say more, but it's a start. The next week, I meet someone. His name is David, and he teaches 3rd grade at the elementary school near my apartment. We bump into each other at a coffee shop, and he asks me out for dinner. He's kind, funny, and refreshingly straightforward. On our 3rd date, I tell him everything about Jake, Mom, Tommy, the whole sordid mess. "That's a lot," he says finally. "Thank you for trusting me with it." Most guys would run screaming after hearing all that, I say, only half joking. David reaches across the table and takes my hand. I'm not most guys, and family is complicated for everyone. Maybe not quite that complicated, but he smiles, and I find myself smiling back. 6 months later, I agree to attend a therapy session with Mom. Just one, I tell myself, just to see what it's like. Dr. Winters, a different therapist than before, creates a safe space where we can talk without accusations or defensiveness. Mom cries when she apologizes again, and this time, I believe her remorse is genuine. "I will regret what I did to you for the rest of my life," she says. "I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know that I see the pain I caused. I see you." I don't forgive her that day, or the next. But something shifts between us. A door cracks open that I thought was permanently sealed. The first time Tommy calls me Sissy, without prompting, I'm helping him build a block tower in Mom's living room. He looks up at me with Jake's eyes, but Mom's smile and says, "Sissy, look," as the tower reaches his height. "I see it, buddy," I say, my heart expanding. It's amazing. Mom watches from the doorway, not intruding, just witnessing this small moment of connection. Our eyes meet briefly, and I don't look away. Later, as I'm leaving, she hands me a small photo album. "I thought you might want this," she says. "It's pictures of Tommy from the months you weren't around as much, so you don't miss anything." I take it. This peace offering disguised as photographs. Thank you. We're not fixed. We may never be completely whole again. But as I drive away with Tommy's laughter still echoing in my ears and David's dinner invitation waiting on my phone, I realize that healing isn't about erasing the past, it's about finding a way to carry it forward without letting it crush you. Tommy deserves a sister who loves him. And maybe, eventually, I can build a new relationship with my mother, not based on blind trust or obligation, but on the careful, deliberate choice to move forward together, with Tommy at the center of our cautious new family circle.